I was shot down behind the German lines in September 1939. 3 Messerschmitts had attacked me, but I had the satisfaction of seeing 2 of them spinning down to earth, whirling funeral pyres, before I took the last long dive. My name is... well, never mind. My family still retains many of the puritanical characteristics of our revered ancestors, and it is so publicly shy that it would consider a death notice as verging on the vulgar. My family thinks that I am dead, so let it go at that. Perhaps I am. I imagine the Germans buried me anyway. The transition, or whatever it was, must have been instantaneous, for my head was still whirling from the spin when I opened my eyes in what appeared to be a garden. There were trees and shrubs and flowers and expanses of well-kept lawn. But what astonished me first was that there didn't seem to be any end to the garden. It just extended indefinitely all the way to the horizon, or at least as far as I could see, and there were no buildings, nor any people. At least I didn't see any people at first. I was mighty glad of that because I didn't have on any clothes. I thought I must be dead. I knew I must after what I had been through. When a machine gun bullet lodges in your heart, you remain conscious for about 15 seconds, long enough to realize that you have already gone into your last spin, but you still know you are dead, unless a miracle has happened to save you. I thought that possibly such a miracle might have intervened to preserve me for posterity. I looked around for the Germans and for my plane, but they weren't there. Then, for the first time, I noticed the trees and shrubs and flowers in more detail, and I realized that I had never seen anything like them. They were not astoundingly different from those with which I had been familiar, but they were of species I had never seen nor noticed. It then occurred to me that I had fallen into a German botanical garden. It also occurred to me that it might be a good plan to ascertain if I were badly injured. I tried to stand, and I succeeded, and I was just congratulating myself on having escaped so miraculously when I heard a feminine scream. I wheeled about to face a girl looking at me in open-eyed astonishment, with just a tinge of terror. The moment I turned, she did likewise and fled. So did I. I fled to the concealment of a clump of bushes. And then I commenced to wonder. I had never seen a girl exactly like her before, nor one garbed as was she. If it hadn't been broad daylight, I would have thought she might be going to a fancy dress ball. Her body had been sheathed in what appeared to be gold sequins, and she looked as though she had either been poured into her costume or it had been pasted on her bare skin. It was undeniably a good fit. From the yoke to a pair of red boots that flapped about her ankles and halfway to her knees, she had been clothed in sequins. Her skin was the whitest I had ever seen on any human being, while her hair was an indescribable copper-colored Titian. I hadn't had a really good look at her features, and I really couldn't say that she was beautiful, but just the glimpse that I had assured me that she was no Gorgon. After I had concealed myself in the shrubbery, I looked to see what had become of the girl, but she was nowhere to be seen. What had become of her? Where had she gone? She had simply disappeared. All about this vast garden were mounds of earth upon which trees and shrubbery grew. They were not very high, perhaps 6 feet, and the trees and shrubbery planted around them so blended into the growth upon them that they were scarcely noticeable. But directly in front of me I noticed an opening in one of them, and as I was looking at it, 5 men came out of it like rabbits out of a warren. They were all dressed alike, in red sequins with black boots, and on their heads were large metal helmets beneath which I could see locks of yellow hair. Their skin was very white too, like the girls. They wore swords and were carrying enormous pistols, not quite as large as Tommy guns, but nonetheless formidable looking.